Due to circumstances beyond my control, we're back. Happy Monday, happy December, first day of December 2025. I am Dan Kuntz. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Thanksgiving is in the books. We are now into the month of December. No school today in Moses Lake. Yep, teachers are on strike. This was the deadline. The deadline was close of business on Sunday, which is silly because nobody does any business on Sunday. But anyway, for you folks, you kids in the Moses Lake School District, your Thanksgiving vacation has been extended by at least today. The Moses Lake Teachers Association walking out. We'll have more on that on the news tonight. It's chilly. It's 30 degrees here in the big city. Morning clouds, afternoon sun, all things considered, pretty quiet. No real rain, no real snow for most of this week. Weekend's another story altogether. We'll touch on that as we always do. Whatever news we were able to scrape together, we did exactly that. But the lack of news is made up with a whole bunch of sports. We'll have that for you. And a really cool interview you don't want to miss. Been meaning to do this for a while. Jefferson beat me to it. Jefferson Robbins, our news director, had a chance to sit down with Hanne Beener, who is the executive director for the Chelan-Douglas Land Trust. She got the gig about 6 months ago. Been associated with the Land Trust for a long time. She's doing good work. Jefferson had a chance to sit down with Hanne. We'll have that conversation for you in the back half of the program. Very informational. You don't want to miss that. Mike Minotti's got an opinion. The usual shenanigans apply. It is the first day of December. Here we go. With these long nights and these very short days, kind of limited on cameras because, well, days are pretty short. We're not even close to sunrise yet. Sunrise is 7:28, so it's still 26 minutes away, but that's what we have from the Wenatchee Heights camera. And you see the clouds and the fog hanging pretty low. By the way, how wet was November? Very, now that it's December 1st. We had measurable precipitation up at Payneborn. That's where the weather station is because you got to put it someplace. We had measurable precipitation, at least enough rain to trigger a measurable amount on the rain gauge. 19 of the 30 days in November, we had measurable precipitation. It was very wet. We had 1.66 inches of rain. We had 1 2/3 of an inch of rain for the month of November. That's very wet. That's much wetter than we normally see in November. About 5 minutes ago, that camera was looking a lot better. That's the Omi Gardens camera looking back towards the Wenatchee Valley. Didn't have that low cloud bank and fog hanging around. Again, it's all going to burn off later on today. It's not going to be real warm. We only hit 37 on Saturday. We only hit 37 on Sunday. Keep in mind, that's actually about normal, but it was such a warm November, it's kind of hard to tell. That's the monitor camera looking out towards Cashmere, and you can see quite a bit of traffic heading from the Upper Valley into the Wenatchee Valley. A lot of people live in Leavenworth, in Peshastin, in Dryden, in Cashmere, but they actually work or do their business in the Wenatchee Valley. And there they are. They're on their way. And our fourth camera is going to take us to Rondo Rock, one of the cameras we use most often this time of the year. When we have the low clouds and fog, we want to be able to show you something. And since Rondo Rock is pretty low, we use that one quite a bit. You can see Rocky Ridge Dam and the valley off in the background. 3 slides to show for you from the National Weather Service. First of all, not out of the woods yet. If you're traveling today, if you decide I don't want to travel on Sunday for the final day of the Thanksgiving holiday, and you're going to go today, a little bit of light snow in the mountain passes. Most of it is going to be relegated to the Idaho Panhandle and far western Montana. As far as Stevens Pass, I-90, Blewett, they're not expecting any snow at all. It's a very weak weather system that's coming in tonight into early Tuesday morning. So there is going to be some snow in the mountains, but probably light snow. And then things are actually going to warm up to slightly above normal. It's the first day of the month, so December in a nutshell from the Climate Prediction Center. Your outlook temperature-wise is on your left, precip is on your right, and they're saying we have about an equal chance of having normal December temperatures. So, you know, it's just kind of right down the middle there. And as far as precipitation is concerned, just slightly better than 50-50 chance we'll have above normal precipitation. If you like it sunny and dry, head to Arizona, New Mexico, and Southern California. If you like it cold and wet, head to Michigan and have fun doing that. So that's what the Climate Prediction Center thinks it's going to happen for the month of December. Your forecast brought to you by Colonial Vista Senior Living in Wenatchee. It's where comfort, care, and community come together. Clouds this morning, sunshine this afternoon eventually. We're only going to get to 35 degrees, which is a couple of degrees below normal. Snow level is going to be at 3,100 feet today. It goes up to 4,800 feet tonight. So if we get any kind of precipitation tonight, it'll be in the form of rain. And as you can see, very little temperature variation between our high today and our low tonight. A grand total of 3 degrees. A little more variation tomorrow. Sunshine most of the day on Tuesday. It'll take a while to get to 39, but we'll get there. 30 for the overnight low tonight. The days now are very, very short. The sun will go down tonight at 4:12, so it's more like an afternoon sunrise. Wednesday, partly sunny, 41. We should be dry. Mostly cloudy Thursday. Same deal, high of 41. 40% chance of rain Thursday night. Going to be too warm to snow. 32 for the overnight low. And then look how warm it's going to be. That 49-degree mark on Friday is very, very mild, and we have a good chance of rain on Friday afternoon. We'll be pushing 50, which is very warm for the month of December. And over temperatures, warmer than normal temperatures really on Saturday and Sunday. So the temperature is going to be very mild once we get to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And whatever precipitation we get down here, going to be rain. Too warm for snow, and when it's cold enough for snow, there's no system to bring us any snow. That's your weather forecast and a 2-minute break. The news. You're watching a Monday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
Your favorite local channel is now available for free on your smart TV and connected streaming devices. Watch live programming and catch up with the latest shows on demand. See the local stories that matter to you. NCW Life, now on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV.
Craving fresh Asian comfort food? Steam Panda is Wenatchee's popular family-friendly Asian restaurant. They focus on providing guests with delicious, healthy, fresh, and natural dishes for an affordable price. Warm up with one of their many popular house-made soup dumplings, ramen noodles, or pho dishes. And make sure to ask about their lunch and chef specials on sushi rolls. Steam Panda's Hawaiian poke bowl and salads are excellent with your favorite boba tea. Stop by or order online at Steam Panda today.
Caught in a conflict? Family, workplace, neighbor, business, housing disputes? Wenatchee Valley Dispute Resolution Center provides mediation services, a cost-effective and efficient way to provide a written resolution to disputes and issues. Plus, we offer mediation training and community education on conflict resolution and communication skills. Contact us to learn more.
Hi, I'm Amanda Walden with A. Walden Insurance Group. I've been helping people for nearly a decade understand their Medicare options. Medicare isn't a one-size-fits-all. I'll help you understand coverage options so you can feel confident in your Medicare decision. Let's find the right Medicare plan for you. Call me today or see me at my office in Wenatchee with easy parking and entrance.
Pretty dense fog, pretty dense clouds, a little dense between the ears, but that's my problem. 30 degrees. We'll eventually see some sunshine this afternoon. Temperatures will be cooler than normal today, warmer than normal starting Tuesday, and downright warm for December by the time we get to the weekend. It's 9 minutes after the hour. The Wenatchee Foothills Trails System closed. They closed it starting today, so the gates are down at the Sage Hills Trails, Kenzie's Landing, Horse Lake Day Drive, and the Sage Hill Gateway, all included in the closure. If you're an outdoor recreationist and you want to get in your exercise, there's always the Apple Capital Loop Trail, and the Saddle Rock Natural Area remains open over the wintertime. They do this every year so they can protect wintering mule deer herds, for which the Chelan-Douglas Land Trust and the City of Wenatchee, they closed more than 2,200 acres surrounding the open space to create an expanded winter refuge. Trails are expected to reopen on April 1st, depending, of course, on weather conditions. The Secretary of State, Steve Hobbs, certified the results of the 2025 general election last week. So the vote totals for races and public initiatives have now been finalized, and in the final tally, the Eastmont Metro Parks and Recreation levy failed to win voter approval. Didn't even come close. It failed by more than 8%. Supporters say the failure could endanger programs and operations at Eastmont facilities, including the Aquatic Center, which is the only public indoor swimming pool in the Wenatchee Valley. Up in Brewster, a bond proposal to renovate Three Rivers Hospital, it missed its needed supermajority, also by about 8%. The small medical center says its commissioners will hold a retreat early next year to discuss ways to pay for its long-term needs, including a new roof for the aging facility. Well, the holidays are officially upon us, so Wenatchee Valley Fire Marshal Kurt Blanchard is reminding residents to stay alert as colder weather and increased holiday activity raise the risk of fires in the home. Blanchard says the most effective protection is making sure every home has working smoke alarms. We had a chance to speak with Blanchard about the risks associated with holiday emergencies and strategies so you don't have any.
Obviously, during the holiday season, people are going to be doing a lot of cooking, whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas. And especially recently, a lot of the fires we responded to are stovetop related. And so one of the things that I'd like to remind everybody is the stovetop is not an additional countertop space. So do not ever lay combustibles on top of your stove. And if you lay it on the countertops, make sure, of course, it's away from the stove. One of the biggest problems that we see in kitchen fires in general is accidental activations of the stoves. And that oftentimes happens when you come home maybe from Costco, which is notorious for having food in boxes, and you're looking for a space, and so you go to the stove and you approach it, and as you lean into the stove, you bump against the knob and it activates. And as you walk away, then of course the combustibles on the stove ignite. I would also say, make sure that if you do use extension cords, and in this holiday season we're plugging extension cords into Christmas lights and all kinds of things, also make sure that the load that you have on that extension cord is appropriate for the size of the cord you buy. One of the things that I've seen, you can get, of course, extension cords that have multiple plug attachments on the end. If you have too many appliances plugged into that cord, it can quickly overheat. Especially when you're dealing with propane and natural gas, there are certain appliances that are only meant for outdoor use. In the event that you use them indoors and the device isn't quite functioning properly, it can release a lot of carbon monoxide into the home. So you really need to understand, what you're plugging into, and the capacity of that appliance or cord. Even better yet, let's talk about smoke alarms. Because smoke alarms is the one device that can prevent or give you an early indication of the existence of fire. If you do not have smoke alarms in your home, you are more than twice as likely to die in the event of a residential fire, and that's an NFPA statistic.
Chelan Valley Hope has launched its annual coat drive, and of course, they need coats. The nonprofit's coat drive began on November 1st. It's accepting new or gently used coats, hats, scarves, gloves, new socks. Donations can be dropped off at a number of partner locations in the north of us, including the Chelan and Manson Fire Departments, Chelan Public Schools, and Kashmir Valley Bank. Those in need can head to Chelan Valley Hope at 417 South Broadway every Monday through Thursday. The coat drive ends on February 28th. And a 3-day bicycling summit to advocate for safe and accessible streets coming to the Wenatchee Convention Center come spring. The Washington Bike Walk Roll Summit is put on by the Seattle-based nonprofit Cascade Bicycle Club, and this year's theme is Designing the Future We Want. Participants can hear from keynote speakers, mobile workshops, and they can attend interactive panels. The summit aims to inspire and educate elected officials, community advocates, and engineers on how to achieve street accessibility. The event will be April 1st to the 3rd. 2-day admission will cost you $250 for nonprofit employees or community members. You're in the loop on this Monday. We've been off for 4 days. Hopefully we remember what it is that we do around here, but it won't take us too long. We're pretty smart. Well, my coworkers are pretty smart. I can't speak for myself. The news at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock tonight. 5, 6, and 10, the NCW Life Evening News. and that's the traditional on TV time. If you are unplugged and you watch your TV via the internet, a lot of people are doing that nowadays. We are on Roku, we are on Apple TV, we're on Amazon Fire, we have a YouTube page, we have a home page, we have a morning show host that likes to do this a lot, and we have an email address, news@ncwlife.com. That's for news tips, news@ncwlife.com. Our news will be up and running online right around 5 o'clock. And don't forget, we stream all the time on our website. Not surprisingly, there is a lot of sports to get to, and in 2 minutes, it's coming your way. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley Monday edition on the NCW Life channel.
Order ready for Susan?
During the holiday rush, those might be the best words you can hear all week. At Abby's, you get a night off from cooking, a place to gather with family, and easy holiday catering that everybody loves. For legendary pizza and hospitality, visit Abby's.com. Aloha and Mele Kaliki Maka from Abby's. End your year with a tropical twist. Our big Hawaiian pizza at a legendary holiday price. Plus, earn $5, $10, $20 or more in free pizza with our holiday gift card offer. Abby's, a legendary holiday pizza tradition.
When flooding hit Serve Wenatchee, their office and Fresh Hope Market were devastated. But their mission to help prevent homelessness in this valley hasn't stopped, and neither will we. I'm Todd McLaughlin, General Manager at Apple Valley Honda. Now through the end of the year, we're donating $25 to Serve Wenatchee every time someone takes a test drive. And if you happen to buy a vehicle, we'll give an additional $100 in your name. Because when our neighbors are in need, this community steps up, and we're proud to be part of that.
Central Washington Water understands the power of healing waters. If part of your wellness routine includes hot heat from a sauna, Central Washington Water now carries indoor and outdoor infrared and hot rock saunas by Tilo. Research shows there are many health benefits to a cold plunge after a good workout or relaxing time in your sauna. Harness the power of water in a hot spring spa, plug-and-play spas, a Tilo sauna, or a cold plunge tub. Stop by Central Washington Water, your wellness experts.
I'm Jen Mueller. Watch for my show, I Cook, You Measure on NCW Life. It's part cooking instruction, part entertainment, and all about connecting over food and wine with your favorite Northwest athletes.
Watch I Cook, You Measure with Jen Mueller Mondays at 1, Wednesdays at 2, Fridays at 11 a.m., and Saturday and Sundays at 10:30 p.m. right here on the NCW Life channel.
Sports at 18 minutes after the hour. The Seattle Seahawks created 5 takeaways. It was a dominant defensive performance. The final was 26-0 yesterday at home against the Minnesota Vikings. It's the Seahawks' first shutout since a 26-0 whitewash of the Bears. That was back on September 27th of 2015. The Hawks scored on 3 field goals by Jason Myers, a 17-yard touchdown run by Zach Charbonneau, and a pick 6 by linebacker Ernest Jones IV.
Yeah, I seen DeMarcus holding, getting ready to bring him to the ground. And when you catch these interceptions, everything kind of slows down. So I'm thinking there's no way he's about to throw this. And he let it go. And then I catch it, and then I'm like, there's nobody in front of me. So I immediately started running. I look up at the video board, and I'm like, dang, somebody's catching me. It was Reek. Reek was just trying to beat me to the end zone. But that was my first ever defensive touchdown. It's been a while since I've seen the end zone, so it was great.
Wide receiver Cooper Kupp admitted that the offense did struggle, but it's not anything they can't fix.
Good. Wins, you're going to take them. They're too hard to get in this league. So we were the benefactors of some very good defense being played on the other side of the ball. Defense just, played lights out, put us in some really good positions, and then capitalized on some very bad positions that we put them in. So a lot of stuff offensively that we're going to want to tune up, a lot of stuff that just wasn't up to our standard. But looking forward to looking at that film, and man, we're so close. There's a lot of things just right there, just those little details, and looking forward to making those adjustments and moving forward.
Head coach Mike McDonald stressed that even though the offense scored just 1 single touchdown, it was, in fact, a team victory.
Great, really team win. Great atmosphere. 12s are rocking. Just really proud of our team. We really were doubling down on our process every week, and really trying to just be dedicated to playing our style of ball. And I think that's starting to show up, and which is great. And we talk about all three phases complementing one another, stacking plays over the course of a game, which is a point of emphasis over the last probably couple months. And our guys have done that. And the resolve that they've shown when we do hit adversity in games is really incredible. Shoot, I'm the guy that they have to calm down sometimes, which is a great sign. So guys have each other's backs, playing really hard. Even offensively today, we started the game slow, but we stuck to the game plan. We found some more runs in the second half and was able to close the game out there on that Sharps run, which is his dynamite play. So great team win. I know the defense played really well. Proud of them. Takeaways definitely make a huge impact on the game, but it really was a team win, complimentary football, and excited to kind of get back and get to work for Atlanta.
Seahawks are back on the road. As Coach said, they'll be in Atlanta next Sunday morning. By the way, the Falcons lost to the Jets yesterday. The final was 27-24. All right, to the standings in the NFC West. Thank you very much, Carolina. In Carolina, they knocked off the Rams. San Francisco starting to play good football again. They took care of the Browns. There's a Seattle victory. Arizona, by the way, by losing, is now officially eliminated from the playoffs. The Rams are still officially in first place because right now they own the tiebreaker, but remember, Seattle will host the Rams in a couple of Thursdays. College football over the weekend, pretty good defensive effort by the Washington Huskies, but Oregon, quite frankly, a little bit better. And the Ducks beat the Huskies at the stadium on Saturday afternoon. The final there was 26-14. Washington State put together one of their best games of the year right when they needed to. They beat Oregon State in front of a partial sellout in Pullman 32-8. Next up for the Cougars and the Huskies, a bowl game. When and where, we won't know for about a week or so. Seattle Kraken have hit a scoring slump. All of a sudden, they lost their third straight on Saturday night at home to the Edmonton Oilers. The final was 4-0. That followed a 3-2 loss at home to Dallas on Wednesday and a 1-0 loss to the Islanders before that. So they haven't scored very much. And bad news. The Kraken will be without leading scorer Jaden Schwartz for at least the rest of this month, maybe even longer. He has a lower body injury. Suffered that during Wednesday's loss to Dallas. The Kraken head north for a rematch with Edmonton. That's Thursday night at 6 on Kong TV. The Wenatchee Wild scored all 6 of their goals on Saturday night in the second period, and they cruised to a 6-1 victory over Regina at the Town Toyota Center on Saturday night. Lucas Shabrina notched his second career hat trick. Michael Kapos scored his first WHL goal. Goaltender Tobias Staversnik added his first WHL point, and he also saved 25 shots.
3-on-2 headed the other way. Fawcett dangling, wrist shot, throws it through the traffic, and he scores. He threaded it to the top corner of the net, just off the side of the penalty boxes. Boxed out coming over the blue line was Josh Toll. Caffey looking for a shot, sneaks a pass. Fluker with a wrist shot, he scores! Found a way to peek that one through, and Josh Fluker has tied this one. Ready to get out of the Marson & Marson Wild penalty box at the right wing. It is Elliott, jab toward the net, backhand chance, they score! Right on the doorstep, right on cue, and right at the end of the penalty kill for the Wild. Sherbina finishes the play and starts a lead for the Wenatchee Wild. It's 2-1. Wide of the net, calling for it out strong is Kraft over the blue line. Waiting was Elliott as well. 3-on-2. Back for Chappos. He scores! Four seconds left on the Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning power play. Out to the far point. McCaggerty pulls it backhand, looks for a forehand opportunity, faces, fires. That one pops through. They score! Matthew Hutchison so certain he had it until he saw it pop up off of him. Face-off coming up to the right of Schlenker. Face-off is won by Wenatchee. Right point slung back door, they score! Quickly, Sherbina, second of the game, his 10th of the year, and the second goal on the Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning power play for the Wild. It's 5-1. That power play took 5 seconds. Looking for a shot, wristed toward the net, save, rebound, tucked in, they score! It's Sherbina, it's a hat trick, and it's 6-1. A long rebound and and Luca Sherbina hammers home the second chance. Rides that one along the glass, down to 7 seconds to play. Andre into the corner, that'll about do it. Andre wrestled along the wall with Peranich. Maybe a little bit of extracurricular at the horn. The linesman jumped in between. This one is over, and this one is in the win column for the Wenatchee Wild Plum. Perfect final score, 6-1.
Wenatchee's 4-game homestand ends tomorrow, a Tuesday night game. Don't see that very often, and you've never seen the Swift Current Broncos play the Wild because they never have. It'll be tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Well, congratulations to the Cashmere Bulldogs. They're going back to the state championship game for the first time in 17 years. They knocked off Mount Baker 41-14 Saturday afternoon at Leibofta Field at the Apple Bowl. Our own Eric Granstrom was there and has the story.
The Cashmere Bulldogs, for the first time since 2008, have advanced to the state championship in 1A football after a 41-14 win over Mount Baker on Saturday in the Apple Bowl. The game would begin with a pick-6 defensive score for Cashmere.
Smith split out towards the tight end position on the left side. Play action pass. Tigalow intercepted. Jackson Binger to the near sideline 40. He's got no one in front of him. 10-5, touchdown Bulldogs. From the shotgun, quick screen, near side speeds, underhand McMahon, near side crossing the 30. He's got blockers to the 15, to the 5. Jace McMahon, touchdown Cashmere. Facing a 2nd and 7. Tigalow under center, moves Smith in motion to the far side. Misdirection to the near side. Cooper, he's got a big hole. No one in front of him across the 50. Foot race. 30, 20, 10, 5. Touchdown. Cooper. 2nd and 3. Swing into the near side. Zavala caught. 45. Cuts it back up the middle to the 30. No one's catching him. 5. Touchdown Bulldogs. Like lightning for Isaac Zavala.
45 yards.
45 yards out. He looks like he's going to go for it. In motion, Tate looking to the right, now to the left, throws it deep, looking for his man. He has speed. He's got touchdown Cashmere.
This kid is unbelievable, Avery.
36 yards, 26-7 Cashmere.
8 plays, 424 on the scoring drive, 57 yards.
A big hole. Cooper racing, foot race at the 50 to the 40. Knoll on his heels. He won't catch him. Touchdown. 80 yards on the first play from scrimmage here in the 3rd quarter from Mount Baker. From the shotgun, Hatmaker to Berggren, right side. He hurdles a defender. He's still on his feet to the goal line. Touchdown, Cashmere. Fake the handoff, Tate. Screen pass, Spees, caught at the 20. He breaks it up to the near far side, 10 to the 5 to the corner. Touchdown, Bulldogs. The only time you'll ever see him under center.
Victory formation.
Takes the knee, and that's it. There's your ball game. Cashmere has a chance to win the state championship next week.
The senior signal caller for Cashmere says it's great to get Cashmere back to the state championship.
It means a lot. First time in I believe it's 18 years winning state or going to state championship, and it's a good opponent. One of the hardest opponents we faced, and it honestly means a lot getting another chance to play Royal.
For Coach Brian Brember, he says it wasn't pretty, but it was a win and knocks off another mark on their goal to return to state.
You know, I felt like our defense stayed the course, though, which was nice. You know, they broke one early, and we just said stay the course, make a few adjustments. But you're right. We're winning at halftime, liking what we had on offense. You know, we didn't love our 2-minute execution down the stretch. Had some balls that, you know, some bounces that didn't go our way, which it is what it is. So we knew that coming out in the second half after a 2-minute drill that we could slow the game down a little bit, methodically drive down, kind of wear out the clock a little bit, and that's exactly what we want to do. Be great with our RPO game with a run-pass option and be 100% with that, and then really just be physical between the tackles. Yeah, it was collective effort, obviously. Like Rylan, Hatmaker had a great game. Took care of the football. He took shots down the field. Obviously, Logan had a great game, and Ethan Bessonette stepping in for Isaac Zavala in the second half did some really good stuff. And then we rotate 3 tailbacks in, and we played all 3. Every snap, we got a new tailback coming in with some fresh legs. So, you know, we're happy with the result. Not necessarily happy with how we got there. But at this point in the season, any way you can get it done, you're going to take it.
So Cashmere gets a rematch and will play Royal in the State 1A Championship. That'll be at Husky Stadium on Friday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, as Royal was able to advance with a win over Linden Christian. Here in the Apple Bowl in Wenatchee, I'm Eric Grandstrom on the NCW Life Channel.
Thank you very much, Eric. And there is your rest of your state semifinal scores. So they are set. 3 games on Friday at Husky Stadium, 3 games on Saturday at Husky Stadium. Again, Cashmere and Royal will play at 3 o'clock Friday afternoon at Husky Stadium for the 1A Championship. Royal and Cashmere. Good for them. This will be fun. Of course, Royal is undefeated. Cashmere's only lost 1 game, and that was in Royal against the Knights in overtime. This will be a slobber knocker, 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon. And finally, we have to go back to work. High school basketball began over the weekend. We'll have our first broadcast on Friday night. Our cameras and Grant Olson will be at Eastmont High School, non-leaguer for the Wildcats and the Kamiakin Braves, the girls and the boys on a doubleheader. The girls will be streaming at 5:30. The boys will be both streaming and on television at 7 o'clock. And those are just some of the games that people are playing. Happy National Bartender Day today. It's a job I don't have. It's a job I'm glad I don't have. I have a couple of pretty good friends who are bartenders, and it's hard work. A lot of bartenders will work 8, 9, 12 hours straight through, standing. It can be a very rough profession, but sometimes if you're really good, you get paid pretty good. There are some states in this country, if you're 18 or older, you can tend bar, although you can't legally drink for whatever reason. Also, a lot of bartenders that I know, the 2 that I do know, say it can be very tedious at times, especially when there aren't any customers to interact with. But if you're a really good bartender, you can make pretty good money, and you're in high demand as well. Happy National Bartender Day today. It's 32 minutes after the hour. Today in history. Here's an idea. What if the workers who build the cars stand still and we bring the parts to them? Not a bad idea. And on this date in 1913, the Ford Motor Company comes up with the idea of the assembly line, which is now pretty much standard in any manufacturing process. The advantages, numerous. Workers didn't have to lift anything. They didn't have to stoop or bend over. You didn't need any special training. Almost anybody could do it. It is a monotonous job, and so to make up for the fact that it was a monotonous job, they got paid pretty good, and a lot of immigrants found it was the way to get employment once they came to the United States. Thank you very much, Henry Ford, the first moving assembly line. You stand there, and the parts come to you. Opened on this date 112 years ago today. All Rosa Parks wanted to do was sit down. She had a long, hard day at work. She didn't feel like standing. She was tired, and she sat down on a bus in a section in Montgomery, Alabama for whites only. The bus driver made a big deal of it. She didn't want to be, she wasn't planning on being a civil rights icon. She just wanted to get off her feet. Instead, she was arrested, fingerprinted. It went viral, as it could be, in 1955 because she violated the strict racial segregation laws by sitting in a section reserved for whites. All the African Americans would eventually boycott the Montgomery City bus system, and it worked. It all began 70 years ago today. December 1st, 1958, in Chicago, at the Lady of Our Angels School, a fire broke out. The footage that you're about ready to see is very, very sobering. What happened? They don't really know. What they do know, this is in 1958, and the school was very old, but because there was a grandfather clause, it did not require schools to retrofit themselves to the new standards if they had already met the previous regulations. So the school, the Our Lady of the Angels School in downtown Chicago, legally complied with both the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago fire codes as they existed in 1958. When it was all said and done, 92 children and 3 nuns died. What essentially happened is once the fire got going, there was no way for the 92 children and the 3 nuns to get out of the school. They almost all died of smoke inhalation. Here come the Seattle Pilots. December 1st, 1967, Pacific Northwest Sports Incorporated is awarded the new American League expansion franchise for the city of Seattle. They would be named the Seattle Pilots. They would begin play in April of 1969, and by April of 1970, they were in Milwaukee. And finally, this is your captain speaking. We are making our final approach here to the runway, so we're asking, of course, that you have your seatbelt your seatbelt tightened and your seat in the upright position as we conduct this landing here. This is in 1984, by the way. The first thing that you notice as your captain is that I neglected to put down the landing gear. This could be a problem. Also, I'm told by the tower, this could be a pretty rough landing. So please, assume that poop. This was actually a controlled impact demonstration. They called it a CID. There was nobody on the plane. They deliberately crashed this airplane out in the deserts of Southern California because they wanted to see everything that they could see without anybody being killed. So they put computers and cameras and sensors and all kinds of high-tech technology, whatever was available in 1984. The whole idea was to help people survive crashes. There was nobody actually on the plane. Thank you very much. Birthdays. Lee Trevino is 86 years old today. 6 major champions on the PGA Tour. He won 29 PGA Tour events. He was one of only 4 players to win the U.S. Open twice, the Open Championship twice, and the PGA Championship twice, but he never won the Masters, the great Lee Trevino. Richard Pryor would have been 85 years old today, voted by many at the end of the 20th century as the funniest comedian of the 20th century. A lot of his material was pretty risque back in my day. It wouldn't be considered risque at all, but an incredibly funny guy. We miss Richard Pryor. It's hard to believe he's been gone for 20 years. And the divine Miss M, Bette Midler, is 80 years old today. Congratulations to Bette. For Heat and Air, call Alpine Air. For Heat and Air, call Alpine Air. They are our platinum sponsors, and we love them. Mike Minotti has got an opinion coming up, and then Jefferson Robbins had a chance to sit down with the executive director of the Chelan-Douglas Land Trust, Hanne Beener. This is a great conversation. You don't want to miss it. It's on deck. You're watching a Monday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
NCW Life channel is your local TV station. We believe in being the spotlight and mirror to the communities we serve in North Central Washington. Programming on NCW Life would not be possible without our sponsors. Special thanks to our platinum sponsor, Alpine Air. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air.
Welcome to Mountain Chick Floral, your go-to flower and plant shop in downtown Wenatchee. Explore their wide variety of unusual and fun plants. And when you buy a plant in a container, they'll pot it up for you absolutely free. Birthday or weddings, they'll create the perfect floral arrangement for you. Brighten up your office with fresh blooms delivered to your door or business. Ask about floral subscriptions. Visit Mountain Chick Floral today, where every occasion is a reason to celebrate with flowers.
This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. While fascism can be difficult to define precisely, scholars generally agree that there are 5 core principles that characterize fascist movements. These exclude extreme nationalism, which is prioritizing the nation above all else, and creating a scapegoat enemy, such as immigrants. Second, authoritarianism, an autocratic government led by a dictatorial leader. Third, then there's militarism, using the military to intimidate and suppress political opponents. Fourth, totalitarianism, seeking total control over all aspects of society, not just politics, as expressed in the heretical doctrine of the Christian nationalist movement of the Seven Mountains Mandate. And lastly, subordination of individual interests to the state by rejection of individual rights such as free speech. Does any of this sound familiar? This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
For over 35 years, the Sangster family has been not only representing GMC, but the entire community.
As one of the few family-owned dealerships in Washington, you can count on our personal integrity, which has spanned over 3 generations, to ensure your satisfaction.
Sangster Motors stands behind everything we sell, from GMC professional-grade products and service from a professional-grade dealership.
Remember, caring about your family is what brings you back to ours.
Jefferson Robbins with NCW Life. The Chelan-Douglas Land Trust oversees about 27,000 acres of land that it keeps in trust for the use of the community and also for stewardship and conservation. Hanne Beener is the executive director of that operation. She joins me now. Thanks for letting us stop by to talk to you, Hanne.
Of course, nice to do it.
Tell me a little bit about yourself and in particular your prior experience. I think you've been working in things like land stewardship for a while before joining the Land Trust as director.
Yeah, so I worked for the Chelan-Douglas Land Trust for about 10 years, from 2013 to 2023, moving from a very entry-level post-hole digger in 2013 to kind of a senior manager, department head of our public access program in 2023. And then I stepped away to work for another local nonprofit, TREAD, to do some research that actually benefited the Land Trust about sustainable funding and management of outdoor rec resources in the region. And prior to the Land Trust, I had been with the Forest Service doing wildland firefighting.
When you first got into your professional life, when you became an adult and were looking around for things to do, was outdoors and working on the land just a natural call for you?
Yeah, I grew up in Ferry County in the rural northeastern part of the state, and it's being on the land and identifying strongly a sense of like physical place in the world was something that I grew up with, and I know a lot of the people that were in my cohort as well did. And so it felt natural to want to be a part of taking care of a place. And I learned that I had pursued some different avenues of study, more related to like international studies, did some time working in an embassy on an internship in college, and came away with, whoa, that's actually not what I want to do. I'm glad I did an internship to find out, and came back and really leaned heavily into wilderness and parks and protected areas management.
When you think about the Land Trust, do you see it as a stewardship agency or as an education agency? I mean, you seem to have fingers in a lot of different sectors.
Right. Yeah, I primarily see the Land Trust as being a land manager. So we are in the same vein as a Parks Department or the Department of Fish and Wildlife or state parks, in the sense that we actually hold land and manage it in perpetuity. So much more in the vein of stewardship. That being said, because we are a nonprofit, we can remain nimble and very responsive and sensitive to the needs of the community. And so that brings in a lot more texture to how we do business. And one part of that is really inviting the public to join us in helping care for these lands, because that's what really makes our work sustainable for the long term. Is if people are engaged in caring for the land, then they will continue to care for that for future generations. So it's a mix, but we certainly, our identity is very much wrapped up in stewarding the lands that are in our portfolio.
When you came on, you probably sort of inherited a whole portfolio, to use your word, of projects that are in progress, ongoing, about to get launched, or need to be considered for the future. So are there particular projects coming up that you get really excited about, that you're like, I want to be director long enough to see that one through?
Yeah, there's a lot of those. The interesting thing with like land conservation opportunities looking to the future is that so many of them are sensitive and have confidentiality, but broadly speaking, we have a public access plan that speaks to the areas that are a high priority for us to protect, and those are community identified areas as well. We also have habitat considerations that we are we have a habitat management plan, so we do a lot of weighing of options. I think the things in that vein that I get excited about are thinking about where we can have the biggest impact on climate resiliency in our region. And by that I mean, where are the areas that we're going to protect that are going to have the biggest bang for the buck as far as, you know, the sustainability of wildlife, plants, and other habitat considerations in the future. And then right alongside that, you know, where are we going to be able to conserve lands that actually have benefits to our human population in the face of climate change? I think that's an important consideration that the Land Trust is kind of still wrestling with how to engage in that. Other than that, in more of the near term, we are doing our strategic plan next year. And so I'm really excited to actually work with the board in this role, which I haven't been in before. I've gone through a couple of strategic planning processes in the past with the Land Trust, but not in the director role. So I'm really looking forward to kind of looking at what are some of these areas that we want to really lean into intentionally. And then, you know, even more immediate than that, or I guess more tangible, is that we're working with the city of Wenatchee. We have a long-standing partnership with them. That is how we as a community have the Wenatchee foothills, and the legacy of that protected open space and trail system is through a partnership between the city and the Land Trust. And we are going to embark on a new project in 2026 where the city will acquire 134 acres we're calling the Lookout Natural Area, and it's right there on the arm of Birch Mountain above Omi Gardens. The Land Trust has been working with the Omi family for almost a decade to try and protect this 134 acres, and the city will hold it, and the Land Trust and the city will co-manage that for both, you know, conservation values and public access in the future. So.
And that's something about the Land Trust that many people don't think about. They might see you as an owner or a caregiver of land, but they don't think about how often you do work with landowners and you do work in partnership.
Yeah, and we are so fortunate to have Mickey Fleming, our conservation director, who has been here for I think 17 years. And the thing about land conservation that I mentioned earlier is really that those deals take a long time to come to fruition. So it's, you know, an initial conversation with the landowner, and sometimes it can be a decade or more before we're bringing something to our board of directors for approval to move forward to like a final acquisition or transaction. So having those relationships in the community and really investing in having staff be at the Land Trust for the long term really helps us make progress on those goals. They're not transactional. They're very much relationship building.
Well, the Land Trust turned 40 this year, 40 years old. Are there ways that you want to see it kind of adapt and grow for the next 40 years while you're director?
Yeah, I think what comes to mind for me is the Land Trust is just a very steadfast entity. We take ownership or management of land, we conserve it for a variety of public benefits and conservation values, and we steward it forever. And so I think it's less about doing a lot of new things, but adapting to where our community is at in order to keep doing what we do really well. And so I think that stewardship in perpetuity is something that both the board president and myself spoke about at our annual dinner recently, and I think it's where we're in step, that this is our role, we do it really well, and we're going to keep doing it and giving the assurance to our community that we're going to be there for the long term.
Land Trust seems to have some advantages in that a lot of its people who are very enthusiastic about the outdoors and about stewardship of the outdoors, who may have gone through the agency, are still around. You worked for Bob Boogert when he was executive director. Bob's still very much a presence. Do you see yourself turning to those voices of people who've been through the agency but are now on the outside. Do you see yourself looking to people like them for advice?
Absolutely. I'm so fortunate to be able to count Bob as a good friend and a mentor, and also Kurt Soper, who was another ED that I worked for. And then I've gotten to know Gordon Congdon, who was actually the first ED of the Land Trust. And to be able to spend some time, I interviewed all of them when I came on for our 40th anniversary, and to learn from them how the community perception of the Land Trust has changed over the years, from people not really understanding what it did, to people being unsure if it was the right entity to be doing the work that it was doing, to being widely known and accepted as a critical piece in the fabric of our community. So I really stand on the shoulders of a lot of good work that's been done, and anytime I can recognize that and learn from that, I count myself very fortunate.
You talked about community perception of the Land Trust. Is there any particular criticism that you hear about the Land Trust most often? And how do you address it? If people have a critique of the Land Trust, well, they're just taking land that could be developed. How do you reply to that?
Yeah, let me think about that for a minute. I think we do hear, mostly if it's criticism, it's based in how someone's perspective of the best use of land. So if we protect a property in the foothills and we open it to public access and we put new trails in, we will undoubtedly hear that that was really nice as habitat, and it's unfortunate that you put trails in on it. At the same token, if we protect an area that was not protected legally and was privately owned, but people were accessing it, and we put a seasonal closure on it to protect wildlife, we often hear that we're not doing enough to provide public access. And similarly, if we're taking land out of the tax base or taking land away from development, we have never been anti-development, and I think a lot of our integrity lies in the fact that we think that there's a right place for every kind of thing that is going to benefit our quality of life in the valley, and we try really hard to be sensitive to all the stakeholders and the community in general to figure out what that right place is for each one of those valuable pieces that makes this place a great place to live.
In some ways, it's the access to the outdoors that kind of makes the Wenatchee Valley and Chelan and Douglas counties what they are. Mm-hmm. People appreciate being able to walk more or less out their back doors and be kind of in nature.
Yeah.
And in many ways, the Land Trust has been the lead agency, at least in the near environments of the foothills, in making that happen.
Yeah, it's true. The Trust for Public Land has a whole body of research about living 10 minutes away from open space and parks and some sort of natural area or access to being in nature. And that's something that we strive to provide, and as our valley is facing a lot of conversion of ag land, development pressures, I think it's really important that we hold that in mind. There's not going to be anyone who comes in and says, this gives us the master plan. It's up to us to work together to develop that master plan and really think about protecting the possibilities so that future generations continue to have a choice to make.
Hanne, what's your favorite area of Chelan-Douglas Land Trust Conservancy? Is there a particular place that you like to visit most often when you can?
Well, I live in the Upper Valley, so I do enjoy Mountain Home. I spend a lot of time there. I would say, though, that the project that probably brings me the most satisfaction as having been something I worked on is the Kashmir Canyons Preserve. We had some wonderful private landowners to work with there, and it's just a unique preserve in that it's privately owned, it has public access. The landowner and the Land Trust work really collaboratively to bring that online and then also to continue managing it. So that one's really special as well.
You mentioned Mountain Home Reserve, and there was recently a community burn pile workshop, which I thought was kind of interesting because if you're managing forest land, you do need to thin. You do need to do some controlled harvesting and some controlled burning to make sure that that's a wildfire resilient property. So What led you to want to invite the public into that process and see this is how we treat the forest that we have in our conservancy?
Yeah, I think it is really important work. It's definitely an area that is sensitive. The whole Leavenworth Basin, as you know, is considered extremely high risk for loss of personal property due to wildfire. So the fact that we can do our part, and I don't know if you were up there, but I mean, it was significant, the amount of thinning we did and the amount of fuel that we removed through that pile burn. So I think the value in having the community play a role in that is that we often, especially with smoke, seem to get in the mindset, because we suffered through a lot of smoke in a lot of summers and into the falls now, that this is just really unfortunate that we have this smoke. And I think that we try our best to do that burning when it's going to have the least effect on the population. But it really just gets people out there in helping to steward the land in another capacity. I mean, it's no different than inviting them to help maintain a trail that they use, or to take out barbed wire fence that's hindering wildlife progress. So it's really just connecting people with what it means to steward the land, so that they can understand it and they will care and they will take that message to, further afield to their friends and family.
Hanne, you've been director of the Chelan-Douglas Land Trust for coming up on 6 months now, but you do have, as we mentioned, that longer history with the organization. So if somebody asks you, Land Trust, what's that? How do you go about describing it?
I say that we are a land manager. We protect and steward property in perpetuity, and we also work with the community to identify what properties we protect and how we're going to take care of them. So what we're going to provide for public access versus conservation values alone. How are these lands going to benefit the public in some way? I think that when I think of the Land Trust, it's definitely a partner with the community in a lot of ways that is more flexible and more nimble than some of our agency partners are able to be. And we do also have that, outreach and education arm. So really the Land Trust is an integral part of our community fabric in providing space to improve our quality of life and that of all beings.
Well, Hanne Beener, Executive Director of the Chelan-Douglas Land Trust, thanks for letting me come on by.
Thank you.
You're watching the NCW Life channel.
Your favorite local channel is now available for free on your smart TV and connected streaming devices. Watch live programming and catch up with the latest shows on demand. See the local stories that matter to you. NCW Life, now on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV.
Temperature hasn't changed a bit. It's still 30 degrees here in the big city. Lots of low clouds and fog. Going to see some sunshine, though, a little bit later on. First thing, I want to re-show you the slide that we showed at the top of the show. This is from the Climate Prediction Center. They do this on the last day of each month on what the next month is looking like long term. As you can see, as you look at the map, with the temperature on your left and your precipitation outlook on your right, about normal as far as temperatures are concerned, maybe slightly above normal when it comes to precipitation. If you like it sunny and warm, head to Arizona and Corpus Christi, Texas. Meanwhile, slightly closer to home, here we go. Lots of clouds and fog this morning, a few sun breaks this afternoon. Going to warm us up to 35. For the record, we hit 37 on Saturday and 37 on Sunday. So a little bit cooler today. Very little temperature variation. We're only going to get down to 32 degrees for the overnight low tonight. Then a warming trend. A degree or two warmer than normal tomorrow with lots of sunshine, about 39. And then look what we're going to see by the time we get to the weekend. 49 degrees is very warm for this time of the year, and if we get precipitation, and there's a 50% chance of it on Friday and a 60% chance of it on Friday night, it'll be rain, just way too warm for snow, maybe some snow in the upper elevations, but not down here. Pretty quiet weather. That's it for us. Have a good and safe Monday. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.